welcome to another exciting video. And today we'll be exploring another aspect of Flexbox, that's alignment provided by the Flexbox layout. Now, Flexbox layout gives us a lot of options for changing the alignment of elements within the Flex container. It actually gives us so many options that it's easy to confuse them. Let's demystify them by looking at some examples. Here I have three cards or articles basically for three courses. Now I've set the background color of the body to this dark gray color, so it makes it easier to see the boundaries of the article elements. I've already set display to flex on the container, which in this case is the body tag. I also set the flex direction to column, so the content flows from top to bottom, as you can see over here. Now the first property we will look at is justify content. So here I'll be going in and I'll say justify content. Now this property affects the way the children are aligned along the direction the content is flowing. Currently, the flex direction is set to column, so justify content will affect how the articles use the extra space from top to bottom without adjusting the actual size of the elements. Now, justify content defaults to flex start. So if I go over here and say flex start and save this, you can see that it's starting from the top. In other words, it means they will all bunch up to the starting point, which in this case is the top. If we change it to flex end instead of start, we'll just say flex end and save it. You'll notice that it's now starting from the bottom. We can also change it to center to get them to bunch together in the middle. So here, instead of flex end, we'll say center, save it, and there you go. So vertically, it's aligning them centrally. This is also a great way to finally get a real vertical align in CSS. Even if I'm having one child only or one article only, let's go ahead and do that. So let's say we remove these two from here for now and save this. You notice that even a single article is appearing centrally aligned vertically. Now let's revert back, save this, go back to our style. I can also spread the children out using space between. So here, instead of justify content center, I will say space between. And if I now save it, you'll notice that the first card goes to the top, the last one goes to the bottom, and the one in the middle is actually aligned centrally as far as vertical direction is concerned. So all the articles that are between the first and the last will be spaced out evenly. We also have few other variations. As you can see, space evenly, and you can see now that the top and bottom margins are used to differentiate these and align them. So here the first one is equally spaced, then the middle one as well as the last one. Now the last option that we have for justify content is space around. Now this is a bit complex to understand. Basically, it distributes the empty space equally around all the children, including the first and last ones. But notice the space before the first child and after the last child is half of the space between children. Justify content affects the space along the flex direction. Align items affects the space perpendicular to the flex direction. Now to illustrate this better, I'll be changing the direction to row. So here, instead of flex direction column, I'll be changing it to row, and I'm also going to make all the articles the same width by setting flex to 1 on all of them. So here we have the article, and I'll be going here and say article flex 1, save it. Now we have three articles of different content length, but their box height is the same. They are stretched to 100% height. That's because align items defaults to stretch, which will use all the extra perpendicular flex direction space, which in this case is the vertical space. Now we can also go ahead and remove this or comment it and use align items flex start, which will move them to the top. Flex end, on the other hand, will align them to the bottom. And if I go ahead and say center, it will move them to the center. This is also another solution for the CSS vertical align problem. Now the last option that we can explore for align self is baseline. So let's go and do that as well. This is going to align the items to the baseline of the first line of text in the element. We can better demonstrate by removing the h1 tag from this last child. So let's go and remove the h1 tag from the last child that we have over here. Notice how the baseline of the first line of the text lines up with the headlines and other elements. We can also change one child individually by using the align self property on one of the children. So let's go ahead and bring the heading back, and here for this one we'll be going ahead and making use of the align self flex end. Now align self is identical to align items, but you apply it to a flexbox child as opposed to the container. It defaults to auto, which means do whatever align item says. As I wanted this Cosmos article to align to the bottom without disturbing the other ones, I just set the align self to flex end. Now let's quickly review what exactly we have covered in this one. Justify content declares how to use the extra space along the direction the content is flowing. Align item declares how to use the extra space perpendicular to the flex direction. Align self is the same as align items, but where justify content and align items are applied to the Flexbox containers and affect all children, align self is only applied to specific individual children. And that's what we have done over here for this particular article.